Good evening. It is Thursday. It is going to be a long, long day. I just know this to be true. So, tomorrow evening, this time, will be the Monsters and Memories playtest, which will go on all weekend. So, likely, this weekend, I will not stream, because I will either be playing game or sleeping. Because I do need to sleep occasionally. I have been rather vocal about many streamers who, they play games, they play them, they get good money. I am not talking people like me who have, 3 people who watch each stream. I'm talking the people with thousands of people who watch their stream. And I find it really hurtful when people half my age do I streamed for like 15 hours. Bear in mind they don't work a working day. And now, I know I'm on a subathon and I should be streaming 24/7 because that's what I promised. And then they go to bed. And one in particular seems to sleep for like 12 plus hours a day. You've never had a job, have you? Because if you sleep 12 hours a day, you kind of don't even have time to eat if you do that. Because if you think about it, if you get up at 6, shower, do all the rest of it, go to work, you're at work for say 8, you then stay at work till 4:30, you come home, it's 6 o'clock, you pretty much get ready for bed and, well, that's you done for the day. So sleeping 12 hours is not right, dude. Anyway, had a traumatic day. Let's discuss day while doing some lace making. Now, one of the big problems we've got, and in a way it'll work out well, is that I don't want to do too much of this, or there won't be none for tomorrow. So I'm going to do, quite sadly, this cloth stitch bit and this ground stitch, so that there is, and maybe this little bit, so there's a couple of bits for tomorrow. Because then the square will be done. I might do a bit more because the sewing off takes a while, so I might do a little bit more, but not a lot, right? Because then, of course, the square is done. I need to work on the strip. Now an update on the strip. The strip has been destroyed. I have undone the strip. For many reasons. One of which is that, as I mentioned, the squares were not in the right places. Then on top of that, the squares were not going to be how I thought. I'd forgotten and not realised something when I put them in. So realistically, they were wrong. So with all this in mind, my brain... What the fuck's this? Dude, what the actual? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 10. One of you? Oh no, it's the end that we did earlier. Oh Jesus, you gave me a heart attack. I thought one of my bobbins had broken. Ah, dear me. What a... We do not be needing that. Right. So, I've undone what I've done on the strip, which probably amounted to like this much, because it was a triangle, so it was about this much here. I've undone that so that I can make a better strip. I also wanted to ditch the yarn type that I was using because, and now I've ditched them all, here they are. This was the bobbins that I loaded, so quite a few. The problem with this stuff is it's silk, and it's slippery as slippery can be. Some of the knots didn't hold, and shout out to good friend Nauticelt, who is a hero, who has assisted me in finding an even easier way of tying the bloody knots to join my bobbins. As you may recall, early on we had a video where a bloke banged on about bunny ears, and it was real hard to kind of follow his bunny ears because he really thought the bunny ears was funny, and well, it's not unfunny, but at the same time, when you're trying desperately to learn from it, it's kind of like, say that one more time and I'm going to punch you in the face, right? It is that kind of moment. And so Mr. Bunny Ears did not lead to conducive knot making. And moreover, 9 times out of 10, you swore you'd done all the right things, and it didn't work. And so I got quite frustrated with Mr. Bunny Ears, just because life is too short, and Mr. Bunny Ears wasn't helping. I then found a nice lady on YouTube who showed how to do a sheet bend. Allegedly, this is what Nauticelt tells me it's called, so I very much believe him, for he is my knot guru. Now, it was not a bad description, and if I show you with a couple of sticks, where's another stick? So if I show you with a stick, what she had you do is this one you had to lie so that this had a bit underneath and pointing upwards. This goes down, sorry, this comes up, and then you put that end through it and give it a yank, right? Now, to a large extent, that's pretty simple. But when you've got bobbin weights hanging off the end of it, and of course, as we know, fat fingers, thin threads, right? If they were all this big, it would be easy, right? Well, Nauticelt basically showed me exactly the same knot, but basically almost how you can do it with the threads lying on a table. And that made it a lot easier for my poor little brain cell, because my poor little brain cell felt good about that. And really, it's not so bad. And then, of course, you just kind of give it a bit of a tug, and it's all magically happened. So from that point of view, we are to celebrate and hail Nauticelt as the saviour of all, for he is the saviour of all, especially my sanity. So we herald and dedicate ourselves to Nauticelt today, just because he deserves it all. And obviously that's really helpful, and this bobbin's run out, and I really need to do something. And where's the... Ick, mummy. I know what I can do. Instead of having to go and wind on more to this bobbin, I can change it for one of the bobbins I've already taken out that's got shit on it. There. It's the wrong colour. Bollocks. But it's only to the bottom of the thing. No, Liz, no. You'll only hate yourself if you do. Go and get the thing. Wind the thread. Don't be cheating. I am Muttley part-time, I swear. Right. Because, of course, I put my windy thing to the side so that I could... my windy thing with the silk on it, and as you can see, it has quite a luster to it. Really, it really does. Wasted on, frankly, on a test strip, more to the point. But I thought it was cheap polyester with a shine, and it's not. It's actually silk. So those bobbins will be shelved for a better project on another day. And in fact, we can take this off, because that'll stop me trying to use it. Right. Now, we need to take this off and sort that mess out, because it's gone all squirrely. Right. Put that down. Actually, let's put the pink one on. Just to keep it company and stop it moving around too much. Sigh. It's been a day. So, in other news, my dog is a freaking drama queen. I mentioned yesterday how little Miss Pansy Paws she'd been limping. And she'd done a little bit of limping at the weekend. It was literally like, 1 minute. And it really was ick, mummy, ick kind of limping, right? Wrong end, idiot. I've done the wrong end of the bobbin. These go at the other end. It's definitely not my lifetime. And I need another life. That's what it is. I need to be reincarnated. But she kind of came in doing the mummy, ick, mummy. And it was kind of like, what's wrong with it? And then, of course, the moment I asked her what was wrong with it, she went, well, nothing, actually. And walked off. So it was like, whatever. If you're going to be like that, fine. You do you, love. Off you go. Anyway, yesterday, it was a sunny day. And she started limping. And I was a little bit concerned because, obviously, don't like to think of your little pooch suffering. I didn't immediately rush her down the vet because it wasn't constant. It wasn't a big limp. It was mostly like laboured walking, for want of a better expression. I'll do it. Bored of that. And so with that in mind, I didn't rush her to the vet, but I did declare that if she was still like it today, I would take her to the vet. So she was still like it today, so I'd warned my boss, and down to the vet we went. Now, I will say to her, she is not comfortable not being around her brother. She's just not used to not having him around. So sticking her only in the car was always going to be awkward. But when there's only me, I cannot be fighting off two dogs while driving. One is plenty. And so I drove her, and she was all whiny. She wasn't too bad. She did try and stand on my shoulder once, which was a little bit interesting. But for the most part, she did not get in the way. She did not do anything too bad. It wasn't ideal, but I mostly did get to drive, and she got in the back actually out of choice, which was a bit more of a shock for me, because normally she insists on being in the front. And that's kind of where she can be not bestly annoying from. So having done all of that, we went to the vet. We did the vet thing. I need to put a pin in, and I need for it to be somewhere around about here. That'll do for the moment. It doesn't have to be perfect. Anyway, so she's mooching around the car, and obviously I'm driving, so I'm not paying it the best of hang on, I've got to get this right. The best of attention. But 1, 2. So you're out. 1, 2. I need another half, don't I? Like that. Right. Gives me that. You're back over here. And we got to the vet, and she really was unhappy because she'd got out. She thought we were just... She obviously kind of in her head thought we were just going for a ride in my car. And then when I got out and kind of went, ta-da, we're here. And she's like, where's here? I not know of this here. This here is not home. I am not comfortable with this. So she was kind of worked up. Because, Bruvs wasn't there to protect her. And she didn't really know where she was. And although she has been there, obviously. So, got in, had to wait to book in, even though there was no one in there, isn't that always the way? Booked in, eventually got called. I'm trying to work out what that's part of. That's one of you, that's okay then. So that was fine. We went in to see the vet, and she was lovely. Some of the lady vets we've had there have been rather officious and rather unpleasant as well. You know, I know it's kind of the same thing, but they've almost taken pride in it, and it has upset me on a few occasions. So, for example, Charlie, the little man in my icon, when he was towards the end, now bear in mind his end was a little bit sooner than expected, and why am I just ramming them in here? Because they don't go in here, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you don't go in there. That's why it's looking too crowded. Her answer to Charlie was, because he had a bit of a cough, and literally it's a bit of a cough, put him down because he's 16. Darling, that is not the answer. Let me put you down, and then we'll save on the oxygen that you waste. So I had a bit of a problem with her, needless to say. And then she was also the same lady, because it was during COVID when we did this one. And so I couldn't pick the vet. I didn't get to kind of argue or anything. So, and because Fiona was lame, I didn't have a lot of choice. So I took Fiona in, and it was this bitch. And she saw Fiona and went, "Oh, it's arthritis. Take this, give her this bit of painkiller. She'll be fine in 2 weeks." 2 weeks later, she was worse. Took her back. The vet that saw her went, "Well, that's not arthritis." No, I hadn't thought it was arthritis, but at 16, maybe it was, and I was wrong, And he was like, "No." And he took her indoors, did an x-ray, and found that a tumour was covering half her insides. This woman had taken her in, clearly hadn't done any decent poking and prodding, unlike this bloke. And, well, we got a week with her after seeing him. So if she had said, I would have had 3 weeks making sure that her last weeks were glorious. And the sad part was, of course, is we didn't get to do that because we didn't know until, well, he gave us he said it would be 2 weeks. It was a week. Fiona chose the week. And it was sad. It was very, very sad. So I really couldn't stand her. And to be honest, some of the other women have been arguably no different. But this girl was great. She was really bouncy, really kind of... She was all over it. She was all over Amy, telling how beautiful she was and how good she was. And Amy was absolutely loving it. Even though she'd been a bit scared, she was really excited. And the vet went, "She's a little underweight." And I went, "Yeah, I know. She eats twice as much as her brother and she's still a skinny cow." And I went, "But there are always people like that." And she went, "Yeah, my brother's one of those. I eat half what he does." And she was she was above average in weight, and her brother apparently, frankly, is a bean. So, she very much understands that some people just eat and nothing happens. And so she wasn't criticising, she was just, she is underweight. Are you aware? Yes, I am. That's fine then. Maybe if Amy sat still for more than 3 seconds, she'd actually stop burning off the calories, So yes, but sadly, she agreed with me that she doesn't think there's anything particularly wrong with Amy. So as a result, I got some anti-inflammatories just to be safe. And it cost me £108.22, for which I am feeling slightly bitter for Little Miss Drama Queen. So, because it's 108 quid that I really could have, would have done better elsewhere. I mean, I don't begrudge her it for being ill. I begrudge her it because she's fucking milking it. It is her being a drama queen. I'm not saying that it probably isn't a bit sore. I'm not saying that maybe occasionally it hurts a little bit. But I do feel some of it, if she can turn it off, maybe it's not as real as she thinks it is, Now, On the better front, I've been having a fight with the water board. Because I got my water bill, and, well, frankly, I live alone. How much water can I get through when I don't drink it? I don't exactly have, hordes of washing. I'm not having 6 baths a day. And I assumed it was my old house and that somehow they were just billing me random numbers, but they're not. For some reason, they'd decided I didn't have a meter, even though I do. And, well, it turns out they've just been basically randomly billing me a lot of money. Because I live alone and, as above, I'm pretty confident I don't get through a lot of water. I mean, I get through some, obviously, but we're not talking, filling swimming pools here, right? Because I don't have one. I don't even fill a dog pool for the dogs in the summer, right? So if I tell you that by the end of January 2024, the 6-month billing period, I'd used, apparently, 10 cubic metres of water. Which is quite a lot if you think about how much water is actually in 10 cubic metres. That's a lot of washing and quite a lot of going to the toilet. So that seems quite reasonable. Well, since then, they've been charging me like 200 and something notes for 6 months. And I had picked up on it, but I couldn't work out how or where, because the bills didn't seem to correlate quite as well. Because when I logged into the bill, it would say things like, and this will be paid spread across months. So not the full 200 and something notes that it charged me every 6 months. So I assumed it was for Old House. And Old House, maybe, because the bills go to Old House, that would be a problem. So, here I am, and I phoned up and I spoke to Hell's Teeth. I know I can talk rot, I know I can be miserable, I know I am not a ray of sunshine, but dear God, this dude was depressed, right? I spoke to 3 people. The first woman was kind of jolly, she was helpful, she was nice, she was cheery, she was, she wanted to help, she was... The bloke that I got through next, I swear, was cutting a vein as I spoke to him. And then when he couldn't help me, he sent me through to his even more depressed, cousin or something. Because if this guy wasn't swinging from a rope when he spoke, I've never heard an individual over the phone sound so thoroughly miserable. Anyway, the last dude, who was the dude who could actually help me, kind of went, well, yes, you've got a month, and didn't actually kind of articulate very well because he was so miserable kind of moment, right? And it was struggling, I was struggling to discern actual words. Anyway, he mumbled something about not having a water meter, and I went, but I've got a water meter. And he went, oh yeah, I can see on your account you do. You shouldn't be being charged like this. Well, that's why I'm ringing. And it was like, well, so I'll open up an investigation for that. Well, it's just flat wrong. I mean, you can see it's wrong. I mean, what really do you need to investigate? Fine, whatever. And I said, so what about all the extra money I've been paying you since you screwed it up? What will happen about that? Oh, I don't know. I'll have to open an investigation about that too. Really? It's not an automatic process of, Anyway, so having discovered what the problem was, where the problem was, and it's here, which makes it easier because, well, so am I. Now, you're not to judge on this. As I said, my last metered bill was for 10 cubic metres of water in January last year. Now, this does sound a little low. I'm not going to argue that this sounds somewhat low, even by my own standards. Apparently, since January 2024, so best part of 15 months, I have used 8 cubic metres of water. Not the 630 pounds of water that they have been charging me for. So, cough up, bitches. I'm looking forward to that one, to see how that turns out. You need to go up there, and I need to get to you before I cock it up. So yes, that'll be rather nice, because, well, that pays for Amy's bill. I am pleased to report that my car did well and was most happy during its little run to the vet, so we are happy, and the car is back in its usual spot now, which makes me happy, and will make everybody else happy who's used to where my car lives, because it's now back in the spot where it lives best. So it is a good thing. So it's been a bit of... Oh, and of course today we had emergency at work, so I spent most of today answering dumb questions, and trying to explain to people simple facts of life, which is fine. It is my job. And so that was fine. We've got that, which will continue, I'm sure. But I've got a feeling we know whose fault it is. What we don't know is whether they're prepared to fix it or not. I've got a feeling there's some wrong settings on something. And basically it decides, well, I don't like that, and reboots the server. Yes, but they're production servers. You can't just reboot shit without telling people. And it's done it a few times, and I'm sure we've mentioned it to them before. But this time we're going to make sure that somebody's chasing them. Because it's not us. We cannot stop this. I cannot change it. Well, I can change it, but I'm not supposed to change it. It's not mine to change. So yes, it probably won't be the longest stream, because as I say, I'm a little bit nervous of... did I just do what I think I did? Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go back, no. Well, I do want to go back, but not yet. So, let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one of you. So yes, we are... It is nice when you can prove that for once you don't owe them a lot of money. I can use it to pay the tax man as well, maybe a bit. Because I'm sure he's about to write to me and go, you owe us some money. Because he wrote to me before Christmas and said, you owe me some money, we're changing your tax code. Okay. But my employer didn't change the tax code. So, of course, the money has not yet been paid. And they will start going, yeah, but now you owe us more. Because they do that. Well, actually, they'd already done that. They wrote, you owe me some money, okay? And you already owe this much interest. Hang on, you can't charge interest before I even know I owe it, surely. That's a bit cheeky. But they do that. Right. Scoot you around. Bring you back. Keep you out the way. So yes, little Miss is came home having not limped once at the vet to back to limping. Little cow. But I love her, and it is just as well. So and so then of course I had to update the ex-hubby on how the dog did at the vet, which is partly why I'm late today, because I was on the phone and I hadn't eaten any food. So then I had to do some food because I was hungry, because I didn't have any lunch, because of course I'd taken her to the vet, so I didn't want to take more time off work. So I had no lunch, didn't go and make me a sandwich, so I was hungry. And I was a good girl. I tried not to eat too much to try and, so I don't end up as one of the next My £600 Life contestants. And yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a day. However, tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow is playtest, so there will not be. I will put a note up saying no, unlikely to stream at weekend due to playtest, and you are very all welcome to come join the playtest. For those who are not aware, let me check that actually. I don't want to give you the wrong one. Hang on. So, there you go. That's where to go. Do feel free to join us. Crafting is an option. So now I've got to wind 50,000 billion bobbins to start my strip again. Sigh. But I can start the strip with a clear conscience because by the end of tomorrow we will have completed this square. So it does beautifully coincide with how it turns out. So I'm not feeling too bad. I'm slightly annoyed that I've had to undo the bit that I did, obviously, because, well, I'd done, as I say, it was about a chunk the size of this kind of bit of ground. Now, admittedly, I'd only done ground stitch, because, well, I had. But at least I guess I recognised that it wasn't going to be what I wanted beforehand. I recognised halfway through the pricking that I hadn't lined things up, but I thought I would live with it. But when I realised that it also wasn't going to look like what I wanted, yeah, no, that was one stage too far. Need to change that. So we did. And, well, I haven't yet. I mean, the problem is, I saw a picture of some lace in one of the Facebook groups with this particular technique done on it. Now, it's not really a technique, but this sequence of stitches, it works out a little like a cable in the sense of, as you well know, I don't like the spiders in lace making, which basically, if this was a spider, each of these edges for the rose grounds come to the middle, you kind of cross all of the threads over, put a string in, put a pin in, cross them all back, and then bring the threads out again. And so they look just like spiders. And I don't really want silhouettes of spiders on my floor. I really, really don't. But there is a trick with spiders that if you kind of do them next to each other in a just so fashion, the legs then don't splay out to all 4 points. So if you have, if you think of like a 4x4 grid with the pins on the dots where the edges are, the 3 individual threads in the middle come to a spot and go out to the 3 over there. So the 3 over there come out to the 3 over there, right? Sorry, that's a 5x5 grid, not 4x4 grid. For a 4x4, it's 2 in, 2 out, right? Because it's the middle legs of the side. Well, if you do them close enough, you end up with this wave effect. And it was the wave effect that actually made me realise that perhaps there is room in my life for spiders. Now, maybe, you know, in a very selective manner, of course, but at least maybe there is scope for me to use spiders. Now, part of the joy of spiders is that unlike this, where there's a load of pins for every single, you know, well, in this 4x4 grid or a 5x5 grid or whatever it is, you end up with one pin in the middle. It goes quicker. And, well, so I'm kind of, you know, quicker can be good, quicker can be nice. So I'm kind of interested in doing me some of that. Now, if you do it wrongly, it can look a bit shit, frankly. Which is why I'm a little hesitant, because I'm not absolutely solid that I've got it right. Just because I might not have, you know. There is a little bit of concern that I have not thought it out right and it will look a bit shit and, you know. But at the same time, if I can make the waves, it would look rather attractive. Especially if you did the waves in a slightly different colour. So that's... Now, there were some other options. So to make the one that I'd done, which had lines between each of the spiders so the spider legs would spread, which was not the plan. But again, if I'd done the lines between in a more invisible colour, you could argue that that could work. I've also seen where you do spiders and the threads that go between the spiders are a strong contrasting colour, and therefore the spiders kind of disappear a bit, and it is the lattice grid made by the colour that stands out. And again, that could be quite pretty, but that does not lend itself to the technique for which I'm trying to achieve. So I find myself having to do... Basically, I need this ground stitch. Now, it can either be buck's point ground, which is stretchy, probably not best for a lace curtain, or this, not stretchy. That would be good for a curtain because you don't want its own weight to make it sag and look funny. Or a detriment to its own existence. So from that point of view, torchon it is. And I have plans. And the plan is to make joins a little like when you close here, as I was explaining yesterday, as you go to the piece that you made before. Now, this will be difficult. Do not get me wrong. I am not under the illusion that this is going to be easy. However, today, some magic stuff has arrived. First of all, this. This is upholstery webbing. Why would Liz need upholstery webbing? I also, somewhere, she says looking around, wondering where it went. It's around here somewhere. What do I do with that? Let me lift. No, that's not it. Oh, it's in a grey bag. You're not going to see it. But I bought some bottle green felt. Now, it has a correlation to the webbing, but not a lot. I'm planning on coating my bolster cushion, potentially, in it. To make it just a hair wider. To see if I can make the whole curtain in it. At some point. But the webbing is for the cheapest, nastiest, ugliest table you ever did see. It cost me about 25 quid. And the plan is that said awful table is a fold-away table. So it has got an X-frame. And the plan is to yank the top off the table and keep it as a board of support to go under here, for example, because this has got a little round top and, well, it lends itself to disaster, frankly. But I could screw it onto here to make it a nice, table. I could also cover the table with fabric to help that be less slippy. That could be a good thing. And I've got some denim I could do that with, so that's fine. Then on top of that, having now got my X-frame legs and webbing, I can make a frame for the bolster pillow to sit on at a reasonable height to myself, and that you would then potentially be able to see on camera. You wouldn't... I'd still have the problem of the angles, but there are things to work on, alright? Got to start somewhere. I do have... can't really see it. Let's see if I can yank it into shape. I do have a kind of a frame thing that sits my microphone. I have a spare one. And technically, I could put the ring light or the camera, possibly just the camera, on the angle arm. so that I could move it around and you'd be able to see a more front-wise view of the cushion without it being too much in my way. Not quite sure what I would attach it to, because I'm kind of running out of desk space for attaching things. But, you know, I'm sure I could work something out. Again, you know, we can see. Because, of course, a round bolster cushion does not sit well on a flat surface. It needs a dippy bit to sit in, hence the webbing. But I also need to hold the webbing so that it's slightly loose to create the dippy bit. So the webbing will also be used on the legs to stop the legs pulling too far apart, so that the top, so basically I'll tie the webbing top and bottom. The top bits will be longer than the bottom bits, so that they make the dippy bit for the bolster pillow to sit in, while the bottom bit stops it from getting too wide and kind of launching it into space if it gets tighter, you know. So I have given this considerable thought. But once again, this is something I need to work up to. So the test strip is being done on a little roller pillow, which I love. I love my little roller pillows. Because you can do flat things on them. You can on bolster pillows too, let's truly be honest. What I ideally want for a bolster pillow is also like a 16th century wooden crutch. Don't laugh at me. I want one of those like little, you know, Timmy from Great Expectations kind of thing, or Christmas Carol or whatever, to have one of their crutches, because I want something that's kind of got the armpit dent, but what you do is you have it in front of you so that the lengthwise runs towards you, and you have the length of the pillow, but also the bobbins kind of peel off to the sides, so that the ones you're working with are in your hands, and you flick them out to the side, and they just stay there. They don't do this rolling shit that they do on a flat pillow. So, you know, it would be nice, if you know what I mean. So I kind of wouldn't mind finding something like that. So I'm going to keep an eye out for, you know, old wooden crutches. You're not going to find new wooden crutches, because, well, that's not a thing. They're all bloody plastic. And, of course, being plastic kind of doesn't feel right. And they don't tend to do underarm crutches anymore. Not the armpit style one that, you know, they're all kind of support the wrist and like lean on with your hands, darling. No, I want to put my armpits on them. But I also need it kind of child size, because I want it to be like this tall, you know. Yeah. I mean, the BBC prop department for any period dramas almost certainly got like a room full of the bloody things. But I don't work for the BBC prop department, so that's not going to happen. Would be nice, though, to have a proper period looking kind of... Because if you look at them, I mean, there are some on... there is one... Sorry, I have seen a similar thing on Etsy. Let me see if I can find it. Because you know how that can be. Let's pull that out of there, because that's not helping. Stop with the verification of proving who I am. There used to be one on here, come on. It's kind of it, but not what I was going to show you. So, let me show you this. Dunk. Right. There's a picture of a lady. Now, she's got something similar, which is kind of a sloped stool with a kind of shaped doodad. However, that's not what I was after. Now, there was one on here. There was one, but they obviously sold it, which is quite impressive considering it had been on there for ages. And of course, bolster pillows come up with bolster pillows, even though that's not what you wanted. Let me see if I can... My favourites, if it's in my favourites still. I have lots of things in my favourites, just so that I can find them again. I'm not necessarily interested in actually purchasing them. I just want to be able to find them again. Because these are my favourite shaped bobbins. I bought these, which is interesting because it's interestingly saying that they're available again, which is interesting seeing as I bought it. But I like these bobbins, but again, they're only really suitable for a bolster pillow. Kind of curious with these. They've got really big roundy ends. They look really kind of funky. Where's the bolster pillow? I might have removed it, of course. Then there's the plethora of bookmark collection. And the flat ones. The flat ones intrigue me. There. This. Exactly this. This thing. I know it's sold. But if you look here, you can see it's like a wooden crutch. And you basically lie your pillow on one end. That's what I'm after. But I want it to have a dent in it because this one's got a flat backside and mine's totally round because, well, it's a bolster pillow. This is a Portuguese pillow, so it's flat on the back. So I want this almost like the other way up. In fact, that would almost work the other way up. So I want this. I want something sturdy at the bottom with somewhere that, as long as this is wide enough to put my bolster pillow in. So that is kind of where I'm going with that. That's kind of what... So hence, the old antique style underarm crutch kind of comes to mind. It's got a point on the bottom rather than obviously a flat bottom. But... you know what? It's close. It wouldn't be any good for getting up and walking away, of course. That would be pretty poor. But it would be good to support the other end of the bolster pillow so that I can have, one end in my lap and the other end, well... So, yeah. It's kind of what I'm after. That would work. So yes, because obviously one of the other advantages of my bolster pillow, if I can get the table aspect working, is that it is, well, technically wide enough. And look, I mean, I think it's got a circumference of like 95 centimetres, which means it's like 2 centimetres short. But it would mean I can pin my... I could make an entire pattern, print out all the different sheets, laminate them, prick them, glue them together, repick where all the joins are, but glue the whole thing to make one massive long pattern, and then make the entire bastard thing in one piece, or at least do strips of it and then leave enough and have it on there as a piece, not moving with pins, and then, scoot over 10 centimetres and do the next strip kind of thing, right? So with that in mind, that would be kind of useful, hence kind of wanting to sort that out. Also, of course, I want to be able to use the bolster pillow as a bolster pillow, because at the moment it's a bit big, because you've got to find somewhere to wedge, because I have boobs. there isn't a lot of room on my lap for a large bolster pillow. I mean, if you think about a 95 circumference, that's clearly quite round. I mean, it's kind of this round. Well, there almost isn't room for that. And I want to be able to make lace, so I need something to stop it rolling off the back of my lap. And so it gets complicated. You can't really, it's not a sit on your lap thing. So then you need something behind it. Well, what can you have behind it? It needs to be tall enough. Hence you really need the sling for it to sit in so that it's not tempted to roll around. So I need to work out how much of a sling I need to achieve that, and how much space, and, you know, how stable the table will be, because obviously that is also a category. Because I don't want the cushion too low in the table, because then the table will arguably get in the way of the lace making. You know, if it comes too high up the front, that's a problem. So there's all manner of kind of issues. It's got to be shallow, but not too shallow, but it's got to be enough to hold it. And basically, and a lot of and. So there is a lot of planning to be done. But I have, you know, I have a good chance, I think, with this table of making something that achieves that for me. And I've got plenty of webbing to give it a bit of thought and kind of, you know, fake it, for want of a better word. To fake the whole, you know, I'll pin it together and see if that's kind of where it's going, and, you know, leave a big loop and put a bit the other side to make sure it's got enough to support it, because obviously I've got enough webbing, there's plenty there. I can make quite a few straps on the bottom to support it well, so it's not liable to tip and slide or accidentally move and fall out, or, you know, and maybe even do one over the top, because if I can do one at the end kind of thing to hold the ends down, that will help, because that will help it sliding and running away and being awkward. So there is a whole veritable option of things that I can do, and then should it all work out the way my brain thinks it will, I can sew it all up, you know, chop the thread of the webbing and sew it all up and have a nice bolster cushion to play with that I can use in a practical form. Whereas at the moment, not so much. It sits on my table and making me feel guilty, because it wasn't hugely expensive, I must admit. Because it's not a heavy thing. Now, that's the other problem with it, because it's not made of straw. And historically, this is fine. But historically, a lot of lace making stuff was made out of straw. This has good points and bad points. The straw means it's heavy. So, well, it's not heavy. It's not like it's got rocks in it, but it's heavy in the sense that it weighs enough that it's not prone to too much life. Whereas obviously, if you've got, you know, pool noodly type foam, this is not pool noodly, it is styrofoam, but if you've got that kind of stuff, well, it is really quite light. And so it is more prone to, you knock it and it tries to run away. Whereas if it was made of straw, you probably you'll knock it and you'll probably say, ow, you know, because it will go, I'm not moving, you will, you know. So yes, we have plans. We have plans. Plans are good. We have future and things to be thinking of. And I'm kind of, I was really pleased with the idea of doing my strip. I'd, you know, as I say, I'd if you've seen the pictures on Instagram and stuff, I printed it out, I'd pricked it, I'd done all of that, and I'd got some bobbins, and I was kind of on it, and it was like great, and well, not a good plan. Well, it wasn't a bad plan. The plan itself wasn't bad. It was the execution. Liz the stupid got it wrong. 1, 2, I can't count them like that for some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're a full bank of of bobbins. I now need to put you in a stick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stick. Put you up over there. Gives a bit more space. You are done. And here. So yes, I'm very annoyed with myself because, you know, I found my printer, I sorted my printer out, I printed it, I designed it wrongly, but I designed it, I printed it, I pricked all the many blessed holes in it, because there is a lot of holes, and I got it wrong. What a humbling experience, because it just is. It's not what you need. And the problem is part of me doesn't even want to keep the pattern around because, well, it's not even like the things are spread evenly, so I really don't want it. And what a waste of time and effort that was. And it took me quite a while to punch all those wretched holes, because it does take quite a while to poke all the little holes, because you have to do them very accurately. Otherwise, forevermore, these lines are going to be wonky because, well, your pinholes are wonky. So I just basically. Right. Where's a pokey stick? Pokey stick. Let's get on the side with the pokey stick. You've come out of your hole. You're no longer supporting. You, my friend, are doing nothing. You need to support. I mean, it's not really the most important thing in the history of the world, but principles and all that. Let's... There we go. It helps for them to be in the right place because it holds the tension right and keeps the shape, and like that. Holy shitting Christ! You scared me! You scared me! Let me introduce you to somebody. Holy crap! Where did you come from? Come on. Come on. Come on. Don't be shy. This caterpillar! Look at the size of this thing! Look at him! Look at the size of this bloody thing! And he was just walking in front of my keyboard! You, my friend, I don't know what you're a freaking caterpillar of, but the fact that you've got yellow bits on you means you're probably not a good thing, and no one will not be eating that. He is pretty. Let me chuck him out the back door. You, my friend, would either have to pay rent, or you live in the garden like you're supposed to. But what always surprises me is he's walking across my computer table. How did he get up there? It's not like... Where did he come from? He just seemed to suddenly be in front of my keyboard. Scared the crap out of me. Do you remember that time when that beetle flew in and landed on my stuff and scared the crap out of me? Because it was huge. I mean, I don't have a problem with creepy crawlies, per se. Do have a bit of a problem with spiders. But as long as they're staying away or walking away, really don't have a problem with them. If they're running at me, however, one of us weighs 20 stone and will stomp on the other. And I know which one wins. It'll be me. And so, you know, that's a thing. But... holy crap, that woke me up. I'm awake, dude. I'm really awake now. But where did he come from? I mean, little flyy things, they fly, right? But he's not exactly, Usain Bolt here. But suddenly he was literally right in front of my keyboard. And I was looking at my keyboard because I was doing things, and just suddenly he was there. It was like he time warped into it. It's just, But the problem is it now makes me, now what will happen is I'll be convinced I can feel him or see him everywhere. He is somewhere launched into the back garden. So, at least the birdies won't be getting him because it's dark. So, there is that. But it makes you wonder what else is in here. She looks around at the floor looking for things moving now. But he would have been big enough. Even the dogs would have seen and eaten that. Yeah. Right. Miserable thing. Right. I mean, as you can see, I can pick him up and throw him outside. I really don't have a problem. Wouldn't I put him in my hand, maybe? Because I'm not sure. Let me see what the internet has to say. That's always a thing. Identify caterpillar, black with yellow markings. No, he did not look like that. He was a bit more like you. He is a moth, apparently, looking at this picture. Although I'm not convinced this is him. No, that's not him. That's definitely not him. This top one's a bit... No. He was more black with just little V shapes on him. That was more like him, but he didn't have the white bits. He's all black, so it's not you. You're not black at all. Let's do the whole images shit. Staring at creepy crawly pictures is probably not best for my soul. Well, he looks like one from Illinois. He's either a long way from home or it's not that. But he does look a lot like that one. What is it? And of course, it takes you to a picture of a whole pile of other things. Where is he? Oh dear God, you've got some ugly frigging caterpillars over there. Smartweed. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Black yellow mark. Yeah, it would be yellow. Name markings. Oh, there he is. No, that's two-sided. That's not him. There we go. No, that's got two stripes. Well, that could be him, but it didn't look... It was more V-shaped than that. It's funny how you write black caterpillar and it's kind of not, if you know what I mean. Last time it was really easy to find picture of said encroaching friend. This time I don't see nothing like him. You can join me in my moments. So here we are looking at a big pile of creepy crawlies. So if you don't like creepy crawlies, I do apologise because I can't say they're my best friends either. But he had like little... He was black, jet black, really hairy, with V shapes on. So it was a bit like this, but he didn't have two stripes. He only had one stripe. See, that's more like him. But that shows, again, it's the same bloody one. It looks like him in that photo because you can't see the other stripes. Is it him? But that's not... That looks too dark. He was more yellow than that, I thought, in my humble, not wishing to be too close and up front and personal with it kind of way. Because, you know, it's creepy crawly and it's in my house and it needs to move out. So it didn't have rings. It wasn't that yellow. It was not like a bumblebee. It's not that ugly. It didn't have a worm growing out of its arse. That's far too yellow. Should have taken a picture of it, really. Could have been something like him, but a bit younger. But again, that's got kind of stripes. It's making me itch. It's making me itch. No, creepy crawlies. Okay, let's try black hairy. Let's just go with black hairy caterpillars. Let's see if that helps. Could have been him, but that's more spots. It still looks like this bastard. And it is common. So maybe it was just a deformed, you know, one stripe version. See, that's not V shapes at all. Either way, I'm kind of glad he's outside and not inside. I think that's the true answer to all of this. Is irrelevant of who or what he actually was. He's best outside. Now, it might be that he was best outside under someone's shoe. Who am I to argue? But just see, that's brown, but that's close. But that's got spots, you see. Whereas this one definitely had like little V shapes. Because it was like little knit stitches down his back. Anyway, let's stop looking at frigging hairiness, because that's just putting me off life. Don't need that. No, let's you know, let that one pass. He's outside, and it'll be a hefty walk for a caterpillar back. So, because I've got a good throw. I mean, he went a good 3 meters, so that's a fair walk for a caterpillar. And then, of course, he's got to make it the other 5 back to the table. So I'm probably good for a while. But I'm now looking for friends, you know? Yuck. Ah, Spambot. Let's kill the Spambot. Sorry, Spambot. You came here to die. He was a bit chunky and a little bit meh. Could definitely do without him in the house. I'm just a bit worried that he's got friends and family in here somewhere. And that I should be worried, you know? I don't see anybody else, but then I didn't see him till he was in front of the keyboard, so, you know. How did he get there? I keep looking at the ceiling, expecting to see like a host of them crawling across the ceiling. It's just... Let me look under my keyboard just to make me feel better. No, just the pair of scissors I put there earlier. That's okay. That's okay. It is one of those moments. I mean, I remember as a child, the reason I am rather sensitive to these things is I had a couple of experiences with spiders as a child that, oh look, Spambot is dead. Did not endear me. The first one was went to go to wash and stuff after getting up properly in the country. This is only on the edge of the country. It's not quite the same. And there was a spider literally with legs like this looking back at me out the bowl, and is the short answer to that. I was not very old. The spider looked like the size of my head, and well, shrieking was had, frankly, because it scared the shit out of me. Not because I'm scared of spiders per se, but just the surprise sheer factor of it. It got me. I then, at a later date, was sitting reading in my bed like a good girl, reading my book. Again, not very old. And a spider fell off the ceiling, landed on my shoulder. And he was big enough that I felt it. It kind of went... And, well, that made me jump and scream too, because, well, he landed on me and I felt it, and I looked and there was this spider and he looked at me, I looked at him. I'm pretty sure in spider he screamed too, and basically screaming was had, and that was not good. The last one was even more creepy, because those were all, potentially annoying. He landed on my nightshirt. It was, no death was had. The next one could have been bad. Now, obviously, we do not live in a land of particularly poisonous spiders. I mean, there are now some, but for the most part, there are no spiders. Things in the UK don't tend to actually kill you. I woke up one day, and before I moved, you're doing the vague first thing in the morning, you open your eyes to kind of go, is this my life? And as I opened my eyes, a spider walked out underneath the bed sheets to go past the pillow. No. You have never seen someone wake up and move so fast. There might as well have been a snake, frankly. I'm not good with snakes either. But snakes, I feel, a fair game. Much like spiders, because most of the world has a population where they're dangerous and they're trying to kill you. And I've been to a couple of places where the snakes and the spiders are trying to kill you. And, well, I don't call it an irrational fear. Irrational is the, oh my god, there is a foot, I'm really scared of it. But you've got two of your own. That's kind of irrational. Being scared of fire, being scared of poisonous things, that is not irrational. Being scared just because is irrational. Being scared because there is potentially, not being, an entomologist and all the rest of it, I am not one to decide whether that one's going to kill me or not. Now, I do know in wildlife, the colouring usually denotes danger. So, Mr. Caterpillar having yellow bits down his back probably means he's poisonous. So I didn't want to handle him because he had furry spines, and it could be that the furry spines will be a huge irritant, will strongly affect me. So we're not playing with hairy caterpillars, hence using the sticks. He didn't want to go on the stick, I will point out, and he got a little humpy about being poked onto the stick. But once he realised that was the only poking he was getting, he did kind of relax, as you saw. So, he was very much okay. I didn't want to hurt him necessarily, but I also wanted him as far away. Frankly, if I could teleport him to the other side of the world and send him to Australia, I probably would. I do not need to share my house with them. I know there's plenty of spiders in here, because there's plenty of spider cobwebs, which I need to clean, but I don't see them, and so that's fine. I don't mind them doing their thing. Obviously, I mind the spider cobwebs sometimes because they get a bit much, but I don't see any of the spiders. In which point, yeah, it's fine. You do you, I'll do me. As long as we keep away from each other, that's fine. But, yeah, no. Creepy caterpillar. I feel a bit weird now. And, yeah. So, tomorrow, we have 3 bits of cloth stitch, 1 bit of rose ground, and the final little bit of ground stitch to do. And sewing of approximately 20 something ends. That'll take me most of the afternoon, which will take me up to the play test. And then I shall promptly disappear pretty much for the weekend. For Monsters and Memories are my heroes, and the game they're making is going to be a lot of fun. And I probably will lose my shit a few times in OOC because people... There is nothing more annoying to anyone who ever works with computers that has like any form of chat, and someone will go, "Can you tell me how to?" A response. The next line, "Can you tell me how to do exactly the same thing that's just been asked?" And there's no way they were not in game or in chat when that happened. And it's like, you do not have to have your name on it to read it. It's general chat, you can read it, it's why you saw it, do it. And after a few hours of repeating myself, I do get a little bit snotty about it. So I drop out of OOC before I call them all names and lazy wankers and get banned from being abusive. And go about my game and actually do some game rather than sitting typing answers. And then I will go drop back into OOC see if anyone's calmed down. And almost inevitably the next line I see is, "How do you..." The same thing that's been asked 20,000 times already to that evening. But that is what the joy of some of it is. I enjoy helping people for the most part. But even I have limits. Everyone has a limit. But I am looking forward to the end of this square. We know there is a stuff up or two. Isn't there always? We know there is a stuff up or two. But I do think this has been one of the better squares we've done. Which is a good thing, because we should be getting better as we get along, because, well, we've done enough of them. It's the same freaking triangle. This is triangle 28. You'd think I'd be better at it by now. And it's amazing that you can still make new and unique screw-ups along the way. However, I'm going to love and leave you. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to draw on my lace thing to try and... I'm going to use one of the sticks I poked the caterpillar with to put you on a stick. To hold you still. You need to go there. Actually, if you go this side like this and you come round a bit more like this, I can turn you round and that makes you a good spot for my laptop for tomorrow. So let's do that, because laptop will go here, well, balanced across this corner, which makes it quite practical for working usage. Today was definitely a day though. As I say, I will be back my usual 2 o'clock tomorrow. But that might be it for the weekend, unless for some hideous reason I really feel in the mood of not playing Monsters and Memories, which I can't see. So, but just on the off chance, you know, keep an eye out. But the Discord is the answer, my friends. Discord is the answer. My Discord group will tell you whether I am streaming or not, because I do not hold a particularly regular schedule, although it is semi-regular. I do occasionally have to skip. So, with that in mind, I bid you adieu. I hope you have a good rest of your day. For those who don't know, you can see all the past videos on YouTube, which you can find linked with !socials if you get it in before I turn off the bot. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.